the day of the second leg of the quarter-final, Liverpool going into the Etihad Stadium with a 3-0 advantage. Loads of people will talk a lot about Manchester City, but I kind of wanted to get your views on Jamie Carragher and playing that 6 role. Obviously, you started your career as a striker, I think I'm right in saying, but you did play the defensive midfield role for Liverpool, and you know you've gone up against elite players, whether you be centre back, right back, left back, defensive mid. How do you think Jamie Carragher will deal with it, and what will differ from the game against Everton at the weekend?
Well, it will be different from that game. I thought he played really well. But that game, Liverpool were in possession of the ball a lot, and you could see how well he was taking the ball, even when there was pressure on him. He was just rolling people, taking the ball to the other side of him, and he has that ability as a footballer, you know that. This will be different now because he'll have to be more aware of people behind him defensively, so De Bruyne, Silva popping up in strange positions where Milner and Henderson, especially in that first leg, blocked those passes, closed people down, won the ball back. Now, he's a powerful player, and he's certainly not slow, so he should be able to get about the pitch. And it is a big pitch, the Etihad. But I think it was very clever from the manager. I actually read Wijnaldum saying that he tried it in training, I think earlier in the season as well. So the fact that he put him there at Everton, it gets him used to playing that position. But that was more with the ball, I would say, get used to playing that position. This will be different, but listen, he doesn't need me to tell him. I'm not sure he'll say it by the time the game's kicked off anyway, but Jurgen Klopp will know that, and Wijnaldum will know that. So I think the work on the training pitch since the Everton game, they'll be aware City will have more possession than Liverpool. So it will be about being in the right position to stop penetrating passes into Man City's best players, really, in De Bruyne and Silva. And
he was very good against Everton. I remember him one time rolling Wayne Rooney and another time rolling Davies and transitioning from that midfield to attack. But you don't think he's going to be able to do that as often. It's more a case of keeping the ball moving side to side and quick passes and stuff like that, rather than it could be that Man City could really look to exploit that if he's trying to roll those players, couldn't he? Because they'll have seen the Everton game, they'll have seen what he did, and they might be looking to like little feints and go around the back of him.
Well, the difficult thing with City is that when we have the ball, they're as good as us at pressing the ball. Now, what he was doing against Everton was one person was coming to press him, and he was very clever using his body and turning out the way. But with City, they have 2 or 3 players around them. The way Liverpool do when they know if they win the ball high up the pitch, I mean, Klopp's, I think, been quoted as saying the pressing is the best playmaker. So if you win the ball off that sort of deep line midfield play, you're right onto the 2 centre-backs. So City will be exactly the same. And if they feel they can get at Wijnaldum, it won't be a case of, okay, I can just knock Silva out the way. De Bruyne will come flying in, Fernandinho will be there, maybe one of the strikers, if it's Jesus especially, who likes to press. So he'll have to be very, very careful of sort of taking too many touches or thinking he's got away from one man, because with City, the next one will be right there.
I suppose another thing I noticed about Wijnaldum's performance at the weekend is he was very good at popping up in passing lanes for our team, for Liverpool. That's going to be a little bit more difficult for him as well, because you're going to have to constantly be thinking about who's behind him and can I go and sort of break forwards. Do you think he'll struggle with that, or do you think there might be a little bit more support from someone like a James Milner to just drop in a little bit deeper and make sure that we've not got too many or too few bodies between them and our goal?
Well, I think when Liverpool get the ball, I think, yeah, you've got to be aware of Man City, but I think in some ways Liverpool have got to play the normal game, and that is not Wijnaldum running all over the place, but obviously being disciplined, but not be worrying too much. Okay, if Liverpool in possession, he's got to show for the ball, got to keep the ball, and if he's sort of constantly worried about where Silva or De Bruyne are, that means that's one player less who you can't pass to, because he's probably thinking too much defensively. And Liverpool at times tonight have got to keep the ball, because City will have more possession, but when Liverpool are in possession, they have to try and keep the ball as well. It's not just about going forward to try and score a goal, sometimes taking the sting out of the game, keeping the ball, keep moving, and make Manchester City run as well.
And as far as sort of like having a leader behind them, obviously you were there for many years, screaming at players to the left of you, the right, in front of you. Is Virgil van Dijk and Dejan Lovren got a big job tonight and just keeping on talking to Gini?
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, the space for Man City that I'd be looking to exploit is either side of Wijnaldum, where Silva and De Bruyne play. You'd imagine Milner will drop in there a little bit more than maybe Oxlade-Chamberlain, probably a little bit more disciplined to fill that position. But the way City set up in the first game, I don't think they'll play like that, but in the first 5 minutes, they were causing Liverpool a problem. I know they didn't look like scoring, but I could see the midfield players. They weren't sure whether to go and press, they weren't sure what was behind them. So even though people have questioned Guardiola because of the result, definitely before the first goal, I was looking at it thinking, the midfielders don't really know what to
I
do
looked
here.
up at 9 minutes and thought, this is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit scared at the time, so
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I can just see the midfielders sometimes, you're not quite sure if they're going to press the ball or leave the man behind me and different things like that. So that'll be important. And the difference is at the Etihad, the pitch is bigger. So it's much more difficult to close the spaces down, cut out passes, and there's just a lot more space within the pitch. So it will be a lot more difficult for the midfield players. But they've got to try and replicate the three midfield players, even though Wijnaldum's now in the performance that we saw at Anfield. The three midfield players in there that night were outstanding.